Hey everyone, it's Elisa with AK Educational Consulting, and I am back here today to talk to you about our next C of the 7 C's for building resilience, and that is connection. So if you're not sure what I'm talking about when I say the 7 C's for building resilience, please go back and watch the previous few videos and get caught up. So we're talking all about resilience and perseverance during this month of May as our social emotional learning theme. And we have been diving into each of the 7 C's. So we are on connection today. So what do I mean by connection? And I apologize for this fuzziness, but connection is the authentic and trusting relationships that we have. That can be with friends, with family, with anybody in our community. So if you are an educator or a parent, you probably know this, that our kids having connections with um, stable, trusting, engaged adults is huge. And I actually just wrote all about this over on my blog today at www.akeducationalconsulting.com. So you can read more about that here. And I tell a personal story of my own life and my own children and where we live in our neighborhood. So you can go check that out. But connection is arguably one of the most important things for our kids when building resilience. So what does this really look like? How do we go about making this happen? So first and foremost, it's relationship building. It is building those relationships with the people around us, with specifically because we're talking about kids, the kids around us. And so thinking about the aspects of your life where you have the opportunity to do that. Now, if you are a teacher, obviously, that translates into building relationships with your students. If you're a parent, well, you have likely neighbor kids. You have your kids' friends. You have kids on sports teams that you coach or that your own kids are on. Maybe you're involved in volunteering or you're involved in a church or a youth group. We have so many different communities that we're part of where we can start to really and intentionally build relationships with people around us. So there was a study done at Harvard University's Center on the Developing Child, and they were studying resilience. What really makes a child resilient? What they found was that the single most common factor for kids who had developed resilience was one, or at least one, stable and committed adult relationship in their life. So at least one relationship with a stable or committed adult. That could be a parent, it could be a family member, a neighbor, a teacher, a family friend, a coach, a mentor. Our kids have interaction with grown-ups all over the place, right? And the more those interactions can be positive and meaningful and strong, the better off our kids are. On the flip side of that, what about those kids who don't have that? How can we be that touch point? And that is something that I also talked about on my blog today, is how can we say, you know what, I am going on this field trip with my kids' class. How can I find a kid that doesn't seem to have a great connection with anybody and be that person? How can I connect them by asking them questions about themselves? How can I engage them and make sure that they feel a sense of belonging in this group that they're in? Relationship building is the foundation of everything that I do with trauma-informed care, specifically in schools. It's the most important. We also connect through friendship, right? And through our ability to have strong, positive social skills. So we need to make sure that we are building our kids up with those strong friendship skills, with those strong social skills, so that they know how to connect with people, not just peers their age, but with grown-ups. One thing that I am often told about my kids is that they are really good at talking to adults. And it's not something that I think that I set out to sort of curate in my kids' personalities, but just the way that we have empowered them throughout their lives and the experiences that we've given them, the expectation that we have for them to speak to grown-ups and be part of conversations has enabled them to do so really well to the point where we regularly get complimented on that. Like, wow, we really love talking to your 13-year-old. He's so interesting. He has value to add to these conversations that we're having. Lastly, relationship mapping. This is really for schools. It is so important that we make sure that all of our students in our school, in our classroom, have a person. And I say a person, meaning somebody that they connect with. That is not always going to be their homeroom teacher, right? So it's really important that as administrators or teacher leaders, that we take the time to sort of map out the relationships in our building. And I realize that some of you work in schools with, 1,000 or more kids. I understand that. My school had over 600 kids, so this is not something that could have been done formally. Although I've worked with schools that have done this formally, and I'm going to be sharing a tool here in the next week or so to help you do that if you are looking to do a formal relationship mapping exercise in your school. But basically, you can do this informally too by just thinking through who are our kids who don't seem to have a connection with anybody in this building, and how can we fix that? Because we have to fix that. First of all, no learning is happening, nothing academic wise, until we can engage our kids because of the way that the 4 levels of the brain work. If we can't meet their basic needs and engage with them on an emotional level, our kids cannot reach those top 2 levels of the brain where learning actually happens. And if you're a teacher, you know this, right? We used to say, you can't teach unless you can manage. And that's true, but I would take it one step further and say, you also can't manage unless you can connect. Once you connect, those kids will do most anything for you. The kids that you're not connecting with are typically the ones that we're having trouble with. So we need to figure out how to connect them with somebody in our building. And it's not a like, well, I just don't like this kid, so I'm going to push them off on this person. That's not it at all. What this is, hey, you know what? I'm a human. That kid is a human. We don't connect for whatever reason. But here's what I know about this kid. He is really into geography and just likes to learn about the different states and different areas of the world. So, who do I know in this building that has some of those same interests? Or man, he is really into soccer, and I happen to know that we have this teacher on staff who plays in a rec soccer league. I wonder if they would have some common ground. It's going to take a little bit of trial and error, and it also is going to take investment on the part of everybody in the school. We are all part of this community and we need to connect. We need to be somebody's person. And then we use those people to our advantage. Meaning, if we have a student who is struggling, and I know that just walking into that student's classroom is going to make the situation worse, not first, that situation worse, because as soon as they see my face, they're going to be like, nope, I'm shutting down. Can't stand that lady. Then we go ahead and pull that person that they connect with, to step in for us. Hey, maybe I can go cover that teacher's class and that teacher can go talk to that student, see what's going on, see if we can fix whatever the problem is. So not only are we doing the mapping, but then we are using that mapping to our advantage to help our students. This is such an important piece of resilience. I hope that you see that. Um, I hope that you'll join me back here next time when we're going to talk about our next two C's. We're going to combine the next two. And like I said, if you've missed out on any, please go back and watch those videos. But until next time, I hope that you have a great day.